Hello, everybody. Welcome to Hondo's HoloNet, where we talk all things Star Wars, Marvel, DC. So, before we start, I want to do a few little just updates. So, right now, I'm working on restructuring. Instead of weekly podcasts, I'm going to do things like episode reviews, movie reviews, and I'm going to incorporate a lot more throughout the week now that finals is ending and it's becoming summer. So, this Sunday, we'll have an episode. We'll talk all about Star Wars for May 4th. And going forward, we're going to start doing episodes on Fridays. That's when I have the most free time. And throughout the week, whenever I see a movie, whenever a season ends or new episodes come out, depending on how it is, I will do own separate videos fully based on those. And then we'll go from there. But, with that down, let's get into today. So today I am adding in the first installment of HoloNets movie reviews. Um, every time I see a new movie, we'll do it with Lilo and Stitch, Mission Impossible coming up. But every time I see a new movie, I'll sit down for a couple minutes, full spoiler review, and we'll just talk about the movie. So today, Thunderbolts came out, and one more time, if you haven't seen the movie, save it for later. Save this video for later. Watch it later. Don't watch it now. I'm going full in on everything. So today, Thunderbolts came out, and I was able to see it. One of the first showings at my theater, and it was awesome. It was the greatest thing that I've seen probably since Infinity War when it comes to Marvel. Um, Quick down, it didn't rely on fan service. I love Spider-Man No Way Home. I loved excuse me, what's that movie? Deadpool and Wolverine, Guardians 3. I think Guardians 3 was the only thing that maybe could rival it, but No Way Home and Deadpool and Wolverine, great movies. It really brought together the MCU and the Marvel universe in general, but it did rely on fan service. And not that it's always a bad thing, because I think both those movies did it the right way, but it did rely on an aspect of fan service, while Guardians did tell just a good story. Anyways, Thunderbolts was a great story, beginning to end. At first, I was like, yeah, I don't know. About 10 minutes in, I was like, wow, this is just, they really set it up well. So, it opens up with Yelena jumping off the building. She's working for Valentina. She's doing a mission. Valentina then sends her on a job. By the way, Valentina's getting impeached for the Sentry Project, but she sends Yelena on the next mission, which is to go kill somebody who's breaking in at one of her fortresses. I forgot what it was called, one of her bunkers, something like that. So Yelena makes her way, and excuse me, and Yelena goes in and she sees that Ghost is the one who's breaking in. And when she goes to kill Ghost, right, she don't really, it's just a job to her. When she goes to kill Ghost, John Walker comes in and John Walker tries to kill Yelena, and then Taskmaster tries to kill John Walker. So basically, Valentina sends all of the Thunderbolts to kill each other because they're all stealing, So Valentina is essentially the Sentry Project led to too many deaths and too many people. That's why she's getting impeached. She's the head of the CIA. So she's getting impeached because it led to too many deaths, and she needs to tie up all the loose ends. All of her files and everything on the Sentry Project gets brought to that, which she's going to incinerate anybody who survives. So right openings, right at the beginning, Ghost shoots Taskmaster in the face. We knew it was coming. She wasn't on the Marvel chairs for Avengers Doomsday. She wasn't on any of that, right? She was taken out of most of the trailer. So she dies right in the beginning. Ghost shoots her in the face. I knew it was coming, and I was still like, wow, it happened like that, like point blank right in the forehead. Wow. Okay. Then John Walker, Yelena, and Ghost start to figure out, hey, we were all sent here because of the same thing. I'm not stealing. You're stealing. You're stealing. Wait. So then Bob comes out, who Bob is, Sentry, and Bob's like, yeah, I'm Bob. And John Walker is kind of a jerk, and I love John Walker. I think he was the best part of the movie, but that's just because I'm a John Walker guy. Anyways, so they go through and they find out that Valentina is trying to kill him. They escape. Really cool fight sequence between each other, but also when they get out, when they get up, you see They're looking at the door, and all of Valentina's army men are trying to uh, kill the Thunderbolts, whatever. So you go through, you find out that Bob is Sentry, and they all try and shoot Bob, and Bob's bulletproof, of course. He flies up into the air, crashes down. Valentina takes him. So now the Thunderbolts escape. Bucky comes and Bucky kidnaps the Thunderbolts, thinking that they're, the bad guys. Which Bucky had the nerve to bring up how John Walker's family left him, which isn't really known until that part. You see that there's some problems in the Walker family, but you don't know that his wife left him and brought his son with him. So that you find out there. But Bucky had the nerve to come in and say, "Yeah, you're such a hero, blah blah blah. That's why your wife and your son left you." Meanwhile, Bucky is the reason why he spiraled out. One of the reasons, anyways. So that's a rant for another time. So yeah, Bucky kidnaps him, realizes that Bob is Sentry, and they go out and they go to find Sentry and stop him. Um, Valentina, on the other hand, is now coercing. She was the person behind the Sentry project, but she is convincing Bob that he needs Sentry because the Thunderbolts, Yelena, John Walker, and Ghost betrayed him by leaving him and calling him names and whatever. Um, so yeah, so up to this part of the movie, I'm enjoying it. I really enjoyed the shots. It was, it's beautiful cinematography, interesting story. I am familiar with Sentry just on the base level. He's kind of like Marvel Superman, but this and that, right? But I'm enjoying it. I'm really into it. I'm really into all the characters: Yelena, Bucky, Red Guardian, and John Walker. Ghost I was never into, but this movie changed it for me. I really like Ghost. So moving on, they go through and they go to Valentina's, which now she's the head, or not the head, but she owns Avengers Tower. So she gets to Avengers Tower and she's, talking to Bob and everything. And the Thunderbolts get into Avengers Tower and they start fighting. Valentina invites them upstairs, and Sentry tries to kill them all, basically. Without going into full detail, Sentry tries to kill them. And they're all like Bob, we were your friends, we not your friends, because they're trying to be like, oh, we don't have friends, we're not teammates, whatever. But they're like, we escaped. We're not actually trying to leave you dry. She's lying to you. He's like, no, whatever. So he tries to kill them all. They get into a big fight. Then the darkness takes over Sentry, the void. And Sentry is now taking over Manhattan. And you see the void start to take over. So now the city's falling apart, things are crumbling, the buildings are crumbling, the everything's going to garbage. And you see them really form a team for the first time. Red Guardian saves a little girl, and he stops the little girl from getting hurt. He holds the rock, the piece of the building comes down, and he saves her. And he holds her and he's like, "You're safe now." And then boom, the void takes her and she's gone. And that was like, I don't know, I don't even know how to explain it, but that scene, watching the void take this little girl who just thought the Red Guardian saved her, and then seeing the look in Red Guardian's eyes, like that just happened. Anyways, it was a fantastically written scene. So, they're working as a team for the first time together. They save an older woman who is about another piece of building, is now on the ground, about to lean on and fall onto her. So you see John Walker come back and save, and John Walker is holding it up. And then you see Alexi and Bucky and Yelena and Ghost come and help push them, right? So now they're working as a team for the first time, or really as a team. They're working together. The rest of the time, it was every man for themselves, but we benefit each other right now. But now you can see them really work as a team. So they, um, sorry. So they go through and they're saving, and Yelena walks into the void. She feels like this is the best way to stop Sentry and save Bob. So she walks into the void and she goes through the void, um, the darkness, which is all really past memories turned nightmares. And she goes around and she faces her past, and the rest of the Thunderbolts, she meets with Bob, the rest of the Thunderbolts come in, save them, and they all go out, and now they're stopping, they stop Sentry, right? Then they all see Valentina, and this is towards the end of the movie now. So they see Valentina, they walk up to her. Alexi's like, I want to kill her. Bucky's like, we can't kill her. Ghost is like, oh, I would like to kill her. Alexi's like, no, I'll just break a few bones, whatever. Comedy. Comedy, by the way, was fantastic in this movie. Comedy in Deadpool and Wolverine, awesome. Comedy in the comedic parts in Spider-Man No Way Home, great. Comedy in Shang-Chi, forced, stupid. Comedy in She-Hulk, awful. But this comedy was pure. It was very, very good comedy. Anyways, so they're walking, and Valentina's like, I know you're upset. Just wait a second. So on the other side, you see a bunch of news cameras, news people, reporters. Throughout the whole movie, she was trying to get reporters to report on the Sentry project because Sentry is now all the Avengers in one, as they said in the movie. But clearly, Sentry didn't turn out the way she wanted him to. So now she needs to pivot, and Bucky, Yelena, John Walker, Alexei, Bob, and Ghost walk through and they see all the reporters. And Valentina's like, I'd like to present the new Avengers. And that's when we find out that asterisk on the Thunderbolts title for the title, it really was a new Avengers movie. So the whole time we were watching an Avengers movie. Now, this is when I was like, I knew that it meant something, of course. I had a feeling that it meant that it was a different type, like it was a different team. It wasn't really the Thunderbolts, but I didn't really think it would be the new Avengers. I thought maybe the Dark Avengers. That was the most Avenger I was going to, but I wasn't going anywhere to Avengers really. But the Dark Avengers, if anything, but the new Avengers. And Yelena goes up to Valentina and it's like, we own you now. Because the whole time, like I said, if I said Valentina was trying to get Sentry to kill the Thunderbolts because Valentina's trying to tie up loose ends, and they were the only ones left. So, you know, Valentina introduces them as the new Avengers, and Yelena's like, we own you now because once Valentina does something wrong, boom, they come out, they say everything. Okay, that was the movie without post-credit scenes. That was the movie. And then you see Thunderbolts, the title screen, and then right after the title screen, it breaks apart. You see the new Avengers. Again, don't just take what I'm saying because this was a very awful explanation of the full movie. If you want the full experience, you have to go see it if you haven't seen it already. Again, this is full spoilers, so yeah, I hope you saw it. But it was a fantastic movie. It was all done in the right places. Everything just fit perfectly. Fit like a jigsaw puzzle. So the credits roll, mid-credit scene. There's two. There's a mid-credit scene and an end-credit scene. Mid-credit scene was something, the little comedic thing Marvel does all the time. It was Alexei trying to give a lady a box of Wheaties, and the Thunderbolts or the new Avengers are on the cover, and he's trying to hold it up like, hey, it's me. And she just looks at him like he's crazy. She takes it, she throws it to the side, and he's just like, it was a cute little funny thing, whatever. At the end, the post-credit scene. So here are my predictions. It's a 2.5 minute post-credit scene. And it came out either last night or this morning. Yeah, it's one of the longest, I think it was last night, the longest post-credit scene of a Marvel movie. So I start theorizing, hey, is it going to be uh, something like Doctor Doom or Fantastic Four or The Watcher maybe or Iron Man or whoever, just different things that it could be. And it opens up, they're all in their new Avengers suits, so cool Avengers logo. It's a play on the original, but they mention Sam Wilson, who already is going to be a problem because he's trying to he has copyright over the Avengers name. This guy didn't even want to be Captain America, and all of a sudden he wants to be the head of the Avengers. He fought Red Hulk and now wants to be the head of the Avengers because Bucky is now the new Avenger, one of the new Avengers. So now Sam Wilson thinks that he has to be, no, I'm the head. Same thing happened when John Walker became Captain America. All of a sudden, Sam Wilson wanted to be Captain America. It doesn't work like that, Sam. You gave it up the first time. Anyways, Sam Wilson's complaining. Bucky and you don't see Sam, but Yelena brings it up. Yelena's like to Bucky, "I thought you and Sam were gonna have a talk." It's like we did, but it wasn't a very pleasant one. And Yelena goes, "Well, right now we have to focus. There's a crisis in space." And they pull up the image in space, and they're talking, and Alexei comes out in new like tracksuits for the new Avengers with a Z instead of an S, so they beat the copyright, whatever. More comedy, but again, it worked. It was good comedy. And then you hear over the speaker, they got the satellite image, and you see a ship going across, and it's twirling. And I can't think of the name of their ship. I think it's the Marvel One. But you see the Marvel One flying through, and it turns and you see the Four logo, the Fantastic Four. So clearly, this movie is going to set up. It did set up how the Fantastic Four come to our universe. We're not going to know that until Fantastic Four, I would assume, but we know that they do at in the near future that they will come into our universe. We see it in Thunderbolts. Okay. So that was again very loose, just quick one, two, three of what happened to the movie. Overall, my review, I really enjoyed it. It didn't rely on the fan service. It relied on good storytelling, good character, and world building. And I could say if the post-credit scene didn't happen, because a lot of people, the post-credit scenes happen, and that's how good the Marvel movie is. The Marvels, everybody, even though most people didn't like it, I liked it, but everyone was like, "Oh, the post-credit scene made the movie." The post-credit scene doesn't make a movie. It's 2 seconds to a minute long. Um, And if it's good, it's good. If it's not good, you complain. It doesn't make or break a movie. That's all I'm trying to say. So even if this post-credit scene wasn't in, even if the Fantastic Four's Marvel 1 wasn't even mentioned, wasn't even shown, the movie would be fantastic. Even if the new Avengers wasn't what they were called, this movie would be fantastic. Now, understand they need the stinger, and that new Avengers really opened up a realm of Doomsday is coming. At the end, you saw the new Avengers and Bob will return in the future. Um, but it really brings up the fact that hey, we're having an actual Avengers movie, Avengers Doomsday, in just a year from today. Avengers Doomsday releases in theaters. So to see this new Avengers movie come out and the whole time you not know was really cool. It was a fun idea. But the movie was just a good movie. The characters were all good. There was not one character that I was like, wow, sucked. Awful. No, they were all really good. Marvel did a fantastic job again with storytelling, world building, character building, um, playing for the future, playing into the past, playing into all these minor details like John Walker and his family leaving and Ghost. You don't need to go. At first, I was like, oh, I'm going to need to rewatch Ant-Man and the Wasp because I don't really remember what Ghost was about. And they don't deep dive, but they tell you the main points how Ghost was trapped in her cell to make sure she didn't disappear all of her life. And they really play into the past. They reintroduce the characters without you having to spend a lot of time learning about them. They bring up how John Walker is a decorated war vet. How Yelena was a Red Room assassin as a kid, how Ghost, right? Taskmaster, even though she died right away, she didn't really get to say anything or do anything. Black Widow. Yelena actually says who Taskmaster was. Alexei, not really, but Alexei is Yelena's dad, and they kind of just played into that a lot. And Bucky was just a repeat in all phases of the MCU. So really, even if you don't watch any of the TV shows or the more recent stuff, you know who Bucky is. But that overall, the movie was very enjoyable. Those of you who follow my Instagram, my personal, know that I review movies. So my short, non-spoiler movie review for Thunderbolts will be coming out and over the weekend, of course. And I don't think I'm gonna go see it again. I think I'm gonna wait till it comes out on Disney Plus. but I loved it. I mean, I've so far since I've come out, I've talked to a bunch of my friends. I told them, yeah, go see this as soon as possible. Most of my friends I know are going to see it on the weekend. I was hoping to have somebody here to talk about it with, but unfortunately, we couldn't get anybody. Um, I was just lucky enough to see it early. I didn't have anything to do today. But overall, great movie, great characters. So I recommend that everybody go see it. And I'm really excited for the future, with Fantastic Four coming up, with Doomsday coming up, Spider-Man 4, with even all these animated projects. We got uh, Ironheart. Ironheart, yeah. I think it's June 28th release, but just in like a month and a half. I know it comes out in June. We have Ironheart, which I'm not excited for, but I've gotten to the point where I stop asking who asked for this because I'm just happy we're getting content. Between the strikes a few years ago, between a lot of what has happened in the last few years, a lot of what we were given, I'm just happy when we get content. Uh, Again, nobody really asked for the Thunderbolts, but nobody asked for Captain America 4, or nobody asked for Avengers Doomsday, but they're giving it to us. So I'm happy with what I get. And especially if the project does turn out as good as Thunderbolts was, as good as Spider-Man, as good as Guardians 3, I'll be happy. Or as bad as What If Season 3, as bad as She-Hulk. We're getting something, and it's building to the future, although we might not see it yet. So that was the first installment of Hondo's HoloNets movie reviews. We're gonna do those all throughout the summer, especially, and we'll focus on the main things I talk about on the show. Next one will be a double feature. I'm going to see Lilo and Stitch and Mission Impossible same day, fingers crossed. So we'll get that, and then right after that, we'll go into Karate Kid Legends. But thank you guys for watching. I know um, this last minute, but thank you all for watching, and definitely tune in to Sunday's episode of May the 4th be with you. We got a lot planned, from reviews to talking about Star Wars to everything. So check in on that, and I'll see you all this weekend. Bye bye.